This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. This incredible wallet is light, sleek, and industrial. It doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge in your back pocket. It seriously changed my whole pocket game. If you've moved on from flip phones, guys, it's time to let that 90s style wallet that your dad used, leave it behind, because Ridge Wallets hold up to 12 cards, plus all the cash that you need. Choose from over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. It is the best wallet you can buy, but you don't just have to take my word for it. There are over 30,000 five-star reviews. I was skeptical at first, but once you try it, you will never go back to your old wallet. There's no pressure. Test it out for 45 days. If you don't love it, send it back, get a full refund. If you decide to keep it, there's a lifetime warranty. Click the link in the description to get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns. Go to ridge.com/Chael. That's ridge.com/Chael and use the promo code Chael. Conor was doing a thing called AMA, Ask Me Anything. And there's a general rule in an AMA, and the general rule, at least for the spirit of where AMAs were created, which was through a website called Reddit, but that if you do an AMA, it's straight. If you come on and it's Ask Me Anything, it's also I will answer anything straight. Just one of the things, when the Reddit editors started this, and I only know that because I did it, and I got this talking to ahead of time. Hey, one thing that we do here, it's real. Oh, okay, no problem. When guys follow that, though, it's very fun. It really is very fun. You will see curtains get dropped. You will see characters broken. And you will get these straight answers, and it's very fun. So Conor did one. He didn't do through Reddit. He did it through Twitter, but he said a lot of things. And one of the things that I thought was most interesting, he was asked, would you ever go back to 170? Conor said, I always liked how I looked and how I felt and how I performed at 170. Yes, I will definitely be going back. I got to stay on that. Because I feel as though you guys have abandoned me. I told you a couple of weeks ago, I'm not bringing the BMF up anymore. I am single-handedly keeping the BMF alive. But you're not backing me up. I'm all alone out here. I'm canoeing by myself. I don't even have the support of Masvidal. I don't have anybody back. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. But guys, we have to back up a little bit, because don't forget the timeline of how Conor went up to 170 to start with. It's extremely relevant. Conor versus Khabib is simply not going to happen. And many other things did not happen and were not looked at to happen to try to preserve the idea that we could get Conor and Khabib back in there. It was one of the things with The Office. They just wanted that part 2 so bad, and you just couldn't get them to look in a different direction. But I bring that to you because now that Khabib's not there, how important is it that Conor becomes a world champion? That's for Conor to answer. We don't get to decide that, but let's try to guess. How important is it that he does it? He's already done it. He did it at 45. He did it in an interim. He's done the world championship. You know what he hasn't done? He hasn't done the BMF championship. And that might be something that has a little bit more interest to come back to the timeline. Dana White, Street of Beverly Hills, guy with TMZ pops out of nowhere with a camera, and he asks Dana, would you put Conor and Masvidal together? And Dana said, no, I would not do that to Conor. Masvidal's just too big. And of course, that soon as that got to Ireland, I mean, Conor was, he couldn't believe it, because that's essentially Dana saying, right, Masvidal would beat him. Now, he gave the reason why. He built an excuse. It was size. But either way, he's saying that Masvidal would beat him. Foregone conclusion. Don't even bring this up. So you see where Conor, Mr. Competitive, got pretty competitive. Next thing you know, he's bouncing up to 170. He's having that match with Cowboy, but then he's doing interviews talking about Usman, talking about staying. I realize that he's come back down to 55. He's got other interests. Poirier gave a big roadblock. He's got to go get that one right. But why are we not discussing, right, win or lose? Do we need to see Conor fighting the winner of Chandler Oliveira? Like, do we need to do that for any kind of sports integrity reasons? Like that's, well, that fight just has to happen. I don't think so. I don't think we needed to do it with Conor versus Khabib part 2. Not had to do it, but had being the word. I don't think we had to do that. And I don't think Conor is going to miss something in his life if he doesn't recapture a belt that he's already had. Conor went up to 170 for a reason. That reason was Jorge Masvidal. Win or lose against Dustin Poirier, Conor versus Masvidal works. Masvidal's looking for something to do. And I realized that Malky, Masvidal's manager, came out and said it would have to make sense to get George back on track for a championship. That isn't true. That's don't take that and then think that we can't do anything with Masvidal. There's a lot of things you can do with Masvidal. As a matter of fact, most things with Masvidal are not going to lead to a championship fight. Not as long as Usman has the belt. They're just not. It's one of those things. Let it go. Great. There's huge things for Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal's next fight is going to be massive. I'm looking forward to it right now. I would be excited if I heard a date, a location. Is it going to be 5 rounds? I mean, I would have so many great questions. Couldn't possibly care less in the Masvidal stock, Masvidal interest department that he just got beat. Do you guys? We usually do. We usually do care, but I don't think we care with George. And it's one of those things that I don't know that we would care with Conor. Conor loses to Poirier again. Does it matter? Do we still want to see Conor versus Masvidal? I mean, think of the power that those guys have. Let's just say that Conor loses to Poirier. So that would be Conor losing 2 in a row, Conor not having won in a meaningful period of time. And if you took the Cowboy fight out of it, you're going on 4 and 5 years, a ridiculous amount of time. Against Masvidal, who just lost his last 2, including one by finish. But hear what I'm saying. These are all put downs, right? These are all things that pull guys down. Do you know how big business would be? You'd have 2 guys coming off of losses, multiple losses. They would sell out. They would fill up any building. I mean, that's the fight. That really is the fight. If you're just looking for an obvious, easy promotional story to tell, that just falls right into your lap. It's wrapped up like a little present, falls right into your lap. It works, but we got to bring the belt back. We got to bring the BMF belt back. And I do think that Masvidal needs to give a real good look at Conor. Conor's not kidding when he says, I don't think Masvidal's too big. Conor is not scared. You say whatever you want about Conor McGregor. If you say he is a coward, you simply are not telling the story truthfully. Conor's a lot of things. Scared to fight is not one of them. Which becomes pretty interesting when you're talking about Masvidal. But why are we not talking about the belt? And it would be interesting to find out, how important is that belt to Conor? I mean, if I look around left and right, apparently that belt's important to one person, and it's me. I got to stop. I told you guys I'm going to. I'm going to stop if you guys don't back me up here. But Dustin Poirier was just put in an interesting spot. Dustin Poirier was recognized for what he is, which is without question the clearest #1 contender in the sport, not just in that division. There is no clearer #1 contender in mixed martial arts than Dustin Poirier. So he was shown that respect. And Dana said, would you like to fight either Chandler or Oliveira, but we'll do it for the belt? Or would you like to not fight for the belt, but it'll be with Conor? And Dustin chose Conor. Dustin had already been the champion. I can assure you, if Dustin never had that belt around his waist, he's taking the title fight. No matter what it would cost him, he's going to go after the dream. But he's already had it. And Dustin made his decision, which was to take on a more lucrative fight. So all I'm asking is, if the same scenario was presented to Conor McGregor, would you like to fight for the belt? Let's say Conor beats Dustin. Would you like to go fight for the belt? Or would you like to go fight Masvidal, right? It's one of these things where Conor would be put in the same spot in many ways, which is why I've already had the belt. It meant a lot to me, and I'd like to have the belt, but this one looks more enticing today. So I'm going down my list and checking off experiences. I already have that belt thing you were talking about. I mean, it gets interesting really fast. But I think that dialogue, for reasons unknown, has been very quiet on Masvidal's side. I think the dialogue, for reasons unknown, on Conor's is very silent. And don't tell me it's because Conor has Poirier coming up. Conor's been talking about everybody except Poirier. I mean, Conor's just fine going in 5 different directions. Why are those guys not talking? Why is this not being talked about? And where in the hell is that belt.